Hey all, welcome back again to Basement, see, what did I say? Hey all, welcome back to SLB, Basement Bourbon Bar. I am Kurt Ludington, your resident host and bartender. Today we're going to be digging into a cocktail called the Rebennack. Now just a short history about this cocktail. A fellow named Chris Hanna developed this cocktail in 2010. He worked in a bar in New Orleans called French 75. Now, as the story goes, after hours, he was messing around and trying to put a few things together, mixing a little of this with a little of that, and he wanted to come up with something that he could put in his flask because he was going out to celebrate Mardi Gras and hit the streets. So basically he came up with this particular cocktail. Now, he put it in his flask, he headed out to the streets, but he kept thinking as he's walking around, what am I going to name this cocktail? He had the slightest idea what he's going to name it. So as he's going around that particular year, the king of the parade was a fella named Mac Rebennack, a Grammy Award-winning musician. So evidently somehow he met this fella, and this fella gave him a cup and said, hey, let me get a taste of that too. And his mind clicked and he said, that's what it is. We're calling it the Rebennack. So basically this cocktail is a variation of an old-fashioned. So what the cocktail calls for is a rye whiskey, for one. Now, for me, in this particular cocktail, I've made this many times because it's absolutely one of my favorites. But for me, I do use a rye whiskey. I prefer to use Pikesville. Pikesville is around the $40, $50 range, $40, $50, somewhere in that general range. But the Pikesville doesn't have a real high rye content, so it leans more towards the bourbon, which I enjoy. So I'm going to use the Pikesville. It calls for Averna. Averna is an Italian Amaro. It is a bitter, but in all honesty, I like it. Just I don't even mind taking a sip of it. It's very delicious. It's really good. It's herbs and a lot of good things cooking up in there, and it's really delicious as it is. So this is an Italian Amaro that's mixed with it, and it's also mixed with it is the Creole Shrubb. Now this is basically just an orange liqueur. However, this one has a tiny little of a bite to it, and anything that says Creole in front of it, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Cajun cooking, any Creole spices, anything like that, I'm a huge fan. So this is a maceration of a bunch of Creole spices and bitter orange peels and things like that. Sometimes I don't know whether to really mix that in the cocktail or just tip it up and start chugging it. Not sure, but it is super good. So we're going to use that today as well. So let's get going with this thing. Let's start making it. We're going to start with Peychaud's bitters. It calls for a couple shots of that. So we'll put a couple shots of the Peychaud's bitters in there. This particular drink calls for 1.5 ounces of a rye whiskey. Today we're using Pikesville. Alright, we're going to follow that up with the Amaro, the Italian Amaro Averna, 3/4 ounce. And lastly, as far as our liqueurs is concerned, our liquors and our spirits, we're going to hit it with 1/4 ounce of the Creole Shrubb. Alright, so a little bit of that. Now again, for me, particularly I like a little bit of simple syrup. Some of my cocktails, it just mellows everything out, makes everything a little bit more approachable. We're going to hit it with a 1/2 ounce simple syrup. Grab some ice. Alright, this is stirred cocktails. So we're going to stir it until it's nice and cold, a little frosty on the bottom of the glass. Alright, that looks good. I'm going to put an ice sphere in our cocktail glass. Give it a pour. We'll finish this off with an orange peel. And as always, let's express the oils over the cup. little rub on that bad boy. Stick it in. There you have it. Rebennack. Let's give it a try. That is absolutely one of my favorite old-fashioned variations. You have to try this at home. It is super good. You won't be disappointed. Thanks for watching today. We certainly appreciate it. It would really help if you would like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. You can follow us on Facebook at SLB Basement Bourbon Bar, and we also are on Instagram at SLB Drinks. As always, please drink responsibly. See ya.